I think if a man's struggle is initiating and giving away our freedom for the sake of love, I think the girl's fear is that she's not worth pursuing. She's not worth being loved. And that you're just going to grow old and just be alone and live in an apartment with 12 cats and be miserable for the rest of your life. And so often, the girls just give up hope. And if you watch the progression of what happens, the girl at first, I think, feels a little discouraged. She's not finding the love that's written on her heart. And initially, some people may say, especially in college, in the dorms, they may say, oh, come on, loosen up a little bit, show a little skin, quit being so uptight. Your standards are too high. You'll never find a guy if you're that picky. And so she begins to doubt herself, this intuition God gave to her. She begins to doubt it. And so maybe she starts with a little immodesty. After that follows disappointment, because that never helps you to find love. And so after the disappointment, I think, begins justifications. Well, I know I'm doing this with that guy, but it's not like I'm doing that. It's not that bad. Because no matter how far we fall, we find people worse than us to compare ourselves to. I met a teenage girl. She said, yeah, I've been with 22 guys. But she said, that's not as bad as my friend. She slept with 67 different guys. No matter how far you fall, it's always comforting to look at people who are worse than you are to make yourself think that you're good. And she thinks, well, it's not that bad. But she's so busy focusing on what she's not doing that she doesn't realize what she is doing. Yeah, it's not that bad, but you know what? It's not that good either. And she's got to listen to that womanly intuition. When she does not, after the justifying comes resignation. She just, okay, I guess this is just the way it's supposed to be. This despairing happens. And after this, she becomes emotionally numb. And she may think, look, I can hook up with guys. I'm not heartbroken. I'm not crying like some little teenage girl afterwards. Look, I can handle my sexuality. She's been burned. When you have a first-degree burn, it hurts. Second-degree burn, it's red. The skin is injured, blistering, painful. Third-degree burn, it's dead. The skin is black and charred. You could poke with a needle. You wouldn't feel. The nerve endings are gone. This is an image of what's happened in the hearts of so many women that have been so burned. They think they're not hurt. They may have no boundaries around their body, but I will tell you there is a mile-high wall around that woman's heart. She fears showing who she truly is because she thinks, well, I'm not lovable, so I will offer to men that which they are least likely to reject, which is my sexuality. And it can lead to the point where she just says, look, this is where I'm at. And it's not a big deal, and I'm not getting hurt. It's not a big deal. I know a girl got sexually abused. A guy kidnapped her, and when he was done with her, he threw her in a latrine at a construction site. Construction workers came, and they saw this little girl up to her neck shivering in human waste. They said, my God, who could do this to an innocent girl? And they lowered a man down there to pull her out, but she had been so hurt, she didn't know who to trust. She started throwing the waste at the worker, saying, just leave me alone, don't touch me. She had been so hurt, she literally wanted to live in sewage because she had been so hurt. And I think so often women may have been hurt by their own mistakes or the offenses of others that they come to this point of thinking, I'm not lovable. One girl emailed me, and she said this. She said, I feel like the gross stuff in the road after the snow is kind of melted and the cars have been driving on it for a while. What do you say to such a girl? What we need to get back to is hoping again. Hope is a virtue. To be able to trust in God that he still has a plan in mind for you. I think so often we think, well, it's just too late. And girls, my wife always says, girls are great at stuffing their stuff. My wife and I a few weeks ago did a TV show, and she said, Jason, when I get on that show, all I want to talk to girls about is brokenness and facing it and owning it. Because she says, I know what it's like. You stuff your stuff. Oh, I'm okay. Yeah, I know that happened, but things are fine. And just put on this smile. But she said, you have to own your brokenness and not be ashamed of that. And my wife was very courageous. She shared on national television. She said, yeah, I'm going to counseling. She said, I see a counselor every week. But she said, you know, I stuffed my stuff before marriage. Yeah, it happened. I figure I'm okay. And then in marriage, it came to the surface. And I'm not the wife I want to be. I'm not the mother I want to be. But she said, there is no shame in wanting to be a whole woman of God. The shame is just in covering it up and acting like everything's fine. And so she just begs you to dedicate yourself to your healing process. Go to counseling if you need to. You've been given years of singleness now to embrace, to find your identity as a woman of Christ, to find your independence at his side. Trust him again, even if it's been a long time. He's trustworthy.